The 14th summit of BRICS countries in Beijing, virtually, that is. It is meant to produce a layout for a new era of global development, as the hosts put it. But it will also focus on other items, Russia's war in Ukraine, for example, and the ongoing pandemic. Now, BRICS is an acronym for the 5 major emerging global economies, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These 5 countries are home to 3.2 billion people, and that is 40%. Their economies account for almost a quarter of the world's GDP. Opening the meeting, China's leader Xi Jinping had this to say.
Human history, like a river, will keep moving forward with moments of both calm waters and huge waves. Despite changes in an evolving global environment, the historical trend of openness and development will not reverse course, and our shared desire to meet challenges together through cooperation will remain as strong as ever.
Let's talk more about the BRICS Summit and the role India is playing with Charu Kartikeya, our correspondent in Delhi. Charu, what is India's main objective at this meeting, which is dominated, obviously, by the war in Ukraine and its ramifications?
Well, Chris, India's formal response to the summit and India's participation there has been very standard. It's been focused on the themes that India has been talking about ever since BRICS came up, and that is essentially a reform of the multilateral order in favor of developing countries. So even this time around, the formal response has centered around this theme only. But we do know that for the last couple of years, India has been involved in this effort to give out a message to the Western Bloc as well as its partners in BRICS, that India is looking at partnerships across the world to further its own interests. So it's been trying to sort of balance interests of various groups. So on one hand, it participates in BRICS, and on the other hand, it participates in the Quad as well. So just a couple of weeks ago, India participated in the Quad Summit. So soon, on very close on the heels of the Quad Summit, comes BRICS. So it's a sort of a messaging to balance both the blocs, Chris.
Let's stay on the issue of Ukraine here for a second. Amid a barrage of Western sanctions, Russia's leader Vladimir Putin says that his country is actively redirecting trade and economic contacts towards BRICS countries. Have ties between Delhi and Moscow, trade ties for that matter, strengthened?
Well, they have definitely strengthened, Chris. We know that ever since the war broke out and ever since US and European nations imposed sanctions on Russia, we saw that India began buying Russian oil at discounted prices. Now, as the war progressed and as the West sanctions kept on intensifying, reports started coming in of India's purchases of Russian oil going up significantly and even exponentially later on at heavy discounted rates. And just yesterday, I think Russian President Vladimir Putin himself admitted that Russia's trade to India, China, and Brazil has gone up by about 38% in a very short period of time in just the first 3 months of this year. So that's a significant admission by Putin himself, and much to the chagrin of the Western Bloc. But yes, that remains to be the fact that trade ties are definitely on an upward swing, Chris.
And Charu, there's talk about expanding this BRICS group, adding new members to it. What is India's position when it comes to that?
Well, Chris, formally, India has made no issue about that. It has not made any significant statement as to whether it endorses or opposes the expansion of the BRICS grouping. But then there are several reports that do indicate that there seems to be some displeasure in New Delhi about China's plans to expand the grouping to include many other nations in it. India apparently feels that China wants to bring in these nations to bring in more members, which will be under Chinese influence to offset the weight of India and Russia in the summit. So there are reports that India is not happy and that it will try to resist these plans for BRICS expansion. Chris.
DW's Charu Kartikeya in Delhi. Charu, thank you.